Hello everyone, my name is Oishiki. At first I would like to say that please kindly subscribe my channel. So today I am going to read Kabuliwala part 2. And yes, I would also like to inform that the ones who want to watch Kabuliwala part 1, they can get the video link from the description box. So now let's begin with our story. I tried to laugh her fears away, but she would turn around and ask me those solemn questions. Were children never kidnapped? Was it not true that there was slavery in Kabul? Was it so absurd that this big man would be able to carry off a tiny child? I argued that, though not impossible, it was highly improbable. The Kabuliwala treated Meenie like his own daughter. But this was not enough, and her dread persisted. However, it did not seem right to forbid the Kabuliwala from the house, and the friendship between him and Meenie went on unchecked. Once a year in the middle of January, Rahman the Kabuliwala would return to his country, and as this time approached, he would be very busy going from house to house collecting his debts. This year, however, he would always find time to come and see Meenie. If he could not come in the morning, he would be there in the evening. Even to me it was a little startling sometimes to suddenly find in the corner of a dark room this tall, loose-garmented, debaked man. But when Meenie would run towards him smiling and shouting, "Oh Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala!" and the two friends, so far apart in age, would settle into their old jokes and laughter, I felt reassured. One morning, a few days before Rahman had to leave his country, I was correcting my manuscript in my study. The weather was so cold and chilly, though the window of the rays of the sun touched my feet, and the slight warmth was very welcome. It was almost 8 o'clock, and the early pedestrians were returning home with their heads covered. All at once I heard a uproar in the street, and looking out saw Rahman being led away, bound between two policemen. There were blood stains on his clothes of the Kabuliwala, and one of the policemen carried a knife. "Hurry out!" I stopped them and inquired what it all meant. I gathered that a certain neighbor has owned the Kabuliwala's money for a shawl, but he had falsely denied having bought it. In the course of the quarrel, Rahman had struck him with a knife. In the hurt of his anger, the prisoner began calling that neighbor all sort of names, when suddenly, in the veranda of my house appeared little Meenie with her usual explanation. "Oh Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala!" Rahman's face lit up as he turned to her. He had not bag under his arm today, so she could not discuss the elephant with him. She at once proceeded to the next question. "Are you going to your father-in-law's house?" Rahman laughed and said, "That's exactly where I am going, little one." Seeing that the reply did not amuse the child, he held up his fleeted hands. "Ah," he said, "I would have thrashed that old father-in-law, but my hands are bound." On the charge of the murderous assailant, Rahman was sentenced to many years of the imprisonment. Time went by, and I forgot about Rahman. Even my light-hearted Meenie forgot her old friend. New friends filled her life, and as she grew older, she spent most of her time with them. Years have passed. It was autumn once again, and we had made arrangements for our Mini's marriage. It was to take place during the Durga Puja holidays. With Durga returning in Kailash, the lights of our home was to depart to her husband's house and leave her father's house in the shadow. The morning was bright. After the rains, there was a sense of celebration in the air, and the sun rays looked like pure gold. Since early down to day, the Shehnai had been playing. With each beat of the Shehnil, my own heart troubled. My Mini was to be married tonight. Early in the morning, noise and bluster had filled the house. In the courtyard, the canopy had been slung on its bamboo poles. The chandeliers, with their tinkling sound, had to be hung in each room and in the veranda. I was sitting in my study, looking through the accounts, when someone entered, saluting respectfully, and stood before me. It was Raman the Kabuliwala. At first I did not recognize him. He had no bag, nor the long hair, nor the same vigor that he used to have. But he smiled and I knew him instantly. "Where did you come, Raman?" I got up and asked him. "Last evening," he said, "I was released from jail." The words struck hard upon my ears. I had never before talked with someone who had been in jail, and my heart struck within itself when I realized this, for I felt that the day would have been more auspicious had he not turned up. "There are ceremonies going on," I said, "and I am busy. Could you perhaps come another day?" He turned to go, but as he reached the door, he hesitated and said, "May I see the little one, sir?" For a moment, he believed that Mini was still the same little girl. He had pictured her running to him as she used to call, "Oh, Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala." He had imagined that they would laugh and talk together, just like they used to. In fact, in memory of Farmer's Day, he had bought a few almonds, raisins, and grapes carefully wrapped up in papers. I said again, "There is a ceremony in the house, and you will not be able to see anyone today." The man's face fell. He looked wistfully at me for a moment and said, "Good day," and went out. I felt a little sorry and would have called him back, but found that he was returning again to his own. He came close to me, holding out his offering, and said, "I bought these few things, sir, for the little one. Will you please give it to them?" I took them and was going to pay him, but he caught my hand and said, "You are very kind, sir. Do not offer me money. You have a little girl. I too have a little girl, just like her, in my own country. I think of her and bring fruits to little Mini, not to make a profit for myself." Saying this, he put his hand inside his bag, loose rope, and brought out a small and dirty piece of paper. With great care, he unfolded it and smoothed it out with both hands on my table. It bore the impressions of a little hand, not a photograph, not a drawing, the impression of an ink smeared hand laid flat on the paper. "This stuff of his own little daughter had always been on his heart as he came years after to Calcutta to sell his goods in the streets. Tears welled up in my eyes. I forgot that he was a poor Kabuliwala while I was, but no. How was I different from him? He was also a father just like me. That hand impression of his little girl in her distant mountain home reminded me of my own little Minnie. I sent for Minnie immediately, clad in the red silk sari for her wedding day, with the sandal paste on her forehead and adorned as a young bride. Minnie came and stood bashfully before me. The Kabuliwala looked a little strange at the appearance. He could not believe his eyes. At last he smiled and said, "Little one, are you going to your father-in-law's house?" Minnie now understood the meaning of the word father-in-law, and she could not reply to him as she used to. She flushed at the question and stood before him with her face turned down. I remembered the day when the Kabuliwala and my Minnie had first met, and I felt sad. When she went back inside, Raman heaved a deep sigh and sat down on the floor. The idea had suddenly come to him that his daughter too must have grown in this long time and that he would have to make a relationship with her again. He would not find her as he used to know her, and besides, what might have happened to her in these 8 years? I took out some money and gave it to him, saying, "Go back to your own daughter, Raman, in your own country, and may the happiness of you coming there today bring good fortune to my child." Having given the money to Kabuliwala, I had to cancel some of the festivities. I could not have decorated lights I had intended, and Minnie's mother was disappointed about it. But to me the wedding feast was all the brighter with the thought that a distant land, a long-lost father was getting reunited with his child. So our story ends here. If you liked my today's video, then please like and comment my video, and also subscribe my channel to listen to more such stories and follow all my videos regularly, and don't forget to click on the bell icon. Thank you.